Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. So the story is circulating the news, and this is how they are putting it. Missouri Republicans are trying to ban food stamp recipients from buying steak and seafood. Let me first analyze Missouri Republicans. Now, this story is also carried on Huffington Post, so you can almost take it with a grain of salt that this is a liberal funded story, right? That the liberals have come out and said, oh, these evil Republicans, these evil Republicans. It goes back to the paradigm of good versus evil, that the liberals are good and the Republicans are evil. Now, people are often asking, why don't the Republicans do something about this? How can they stand for the left to call them racist or evil or hating poor people or anything like that? Well, when you become a libertarian, you are able to take a huge step back and see the entire picture and see that it is all one faction. There is no two-party faction whatsoever. So you can ignore the word Republican and Democrat in any story. In fact, you can ignore, unless we're talking about an individual, the whole liberal versus conservative, because at that level, there are no conservatives at all. None. You hear me? None. There are no conservatives. Conservatives doesn't mean racist or anything like that. Conservative means that they believe in a system where people work for their food and the government doesn't get into your way, and you have the freedom to do so. Remember that for all of these social programs, the government is standing in the way of a real program, privately run, that is going to help people. Do you think the government is trying to help people get off of food stamps? No, it is not. It is standing in the way, raising more taxes each year. Now, they have actually gone out and said, on my research, not this story, that in a lot of states, the quote-unquote food stamps are $50 on average, $60 on average for a whole month. Now, you and me, brother, tell me what you can get for $50. Now, tell me what you can get for $50 that is not going to eventually give you cancer. And then we're really going to be paying for it in the taxes, right? I mean, so let's stop these shenanigans of let's only have poor people, people in government assistance not being able to buy steak, lobster, fish. They said seafood, literally fish. So no more vitamin D, no more iodine, no more a lot of the things that only fish give you. I know vegetarians are clawing their eyes out. No, you can get that from vegetables. No, you can't. There are things that only beef can give you. And there are things that only fish can give you, and the human being has developed a dental system and a digestive system to process all of that and needs all of that. I know you can tell yourself mentally that, oh no, you only need vegetables. But let's go back to when people didn't live in big, huge, high-rise houses, and you had to go out and hunt for your food every day. I want you to go back and tell those humans that they only could survive on vegetables. First of all, they would starve. Reality. Because there was no growing season. They didn't have all of these nice fertilizers that in fact, they didn't know about that. Now did they? So for millions of years, humanity had to hunt for its food and pick berries that they came across. I would rather raise food stamps by 50% and restrict food stamps to only unprocessed food. That means it doesn't come in a package. It has to be fresh, except for rice and maybe pasta. And I would include the capability of purchasing a single eyelet that you plug into an electrical outlet so that they would have the means to cook. Because some people live in places where there is no such thing as a stove. And I don't want people to use a microwave because that thing will kill you too. You have to think ahead. In the next 100 years, what are people on food stamps going to look like? They're going to be in the hospital. Then the pharmaceutical company is going to come in rubbing their hands together, ready to collect all the money from the government. I don't want that. Now, I don't know who's behind this bill about removing steak off of the menu. Seafood. They said seafood. That includes tuna. Now, I don't know. I've heard people. I don't know who's doing the hating here. And then some of the comments said this bill wasn't even researched, that this bill came about from stories of, I knew a guy. And I know you've seen this exact story on the news. I know a guy who got on food stamps and he bought 12 steaks, 12 porterhouse steaks. He bought lobster. He bought jumbo shrimp. This is the story in the news. Now, if this is where this law came from, shame on the politicians, and you should really oust those politicians. And then they show pictures of somebody's pantry, and it has Pop-Tarts, ramen noodles, stuff that will literally kill you. I'm not talking about it'll make you sick to your stomach. I'm talking about you will develop. Ramen noodle still has MSG in it. It will give you brain lesions. You will be laid up in the hospital. If we're going to have these poor people only being able to afford this, you have to think about your own self-interest. Your self-interest is to make sure that poor people eat as healthy as they possibly can. Because first of all, the diet is going to motivate them to want to continue to eat like that when they're off of food stamps. Nobody's on food stamps forever. I know Obama's trying to tackle that and make sure that stops. He wants people to be on food stamps forever. He wants people to be on the government dole forever. But the statistics say nobody's on welfare forever. Nobody's on food stamps forever. Nobody's on WIC forever. They're only on it on about a year or two. Now, if the government would get out of the way of businesses happening, I'm very offended by Las Vegas and Nevada getting away of people opening businesses. Supposedly it's such a great thing, but it's only a great thing for big, huge investors. As me trying to open up my business and trying to register with the Secretary of State, I have to dole out thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars to get up and running. And I'm not talking about I've even bought a sheet of paper for my business. I'm talking about registering. And then registering, I have to register with the SEC because I deal in money and not hot dogs or whatever. The government stands in the way of people opening businesses. I would hire 20 people, and if I could open my doors, I would hire 20 people immediately. But I can't. I don't have $50,000, $100,000, $250,000. I don't have money to have a lawyer on retainer to start my business. And I can't go on Shark Tank because they're going to go, well, what have you already done? Nothing. I haven't done anything. I can't even get started. We have to look out for our own self-interest and stop going, I'm a Democrat. I'm against Republicans. I'm a Republican. I'm against Democrats. This is wrong-headed. Do you really don't want people to eat steak? Is that your big problem? And then if you take a look, $50 a month, on average, the entire state, statewide, $50 a month, $60 a month, $10 a month, because that's what they qualify for. Is that what you want them to do? I would say if you're making that much and you can only buy one steak, go ahead and buy the steak. One meal at least in a month will actually be healthy for you as a human. And vegetarians, you all can really just, for this video, you can go to hell. So that's not healthy. Sorry, where do you get vitamin B12? What is that? I'm sorry, come again? Oh, it's not found in beans? Not found in legumes? Oh, really? It's only found in red meat? Yeah, and you know men need vitamin B12? Need to stay alive, to make sure that their balls create semen. Do you understand these things? I know you haven't studied macronutrients or anything like that. I'm here to tell you, you have been sold a bill of goods. I say if they can only purchase one steak a month, let them purchase a steak a month. You wouldn't, I keep saying, you all wouldn't want me to be president. The grocery stores would be full of stuff that you had to cook, have to cook. You couldn't pop it in a microwave and it'd be ready and done. And everybody would eat healthy. And I would stop the subsidy of corn and all that trash. All right, thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show. And speaking of which, they have given the FDA has given the go-ahead to allow GMO vegetables to come onto the market as safe. Europe has still banned them as unsafe, but here in America, our FDA has said that they are safe for human consumption. Although they give rats brain lesions and cancer, yeah, our FDA says it's safe. Now, please tell me how restricting steak and fish, seafood, from poor people eating that you really care about poor people. Thank you for watching Shakaama Live Show.